Welcome, everybody. It's March 8th, 2021. Most importantly, International Women's Day. So all of you out there celebrating, have a great day. Mac, you sent out a very, very important tweet. One of your most important tweets. So important that our former colleague, John Shannon,
did he
comment
retweet it?
on your tweet.
Did
Everybody,
he retweet it?
Let's welcome in Doug Maclean out of Florida. We've got Joe and Jordan on standby as always. Welcome to the show. What are we going to talk about, Mac, today?
First of all, I have to say, let's celebrate women every day.
That's what your tweet was.
To my daughter, Mackenzie, and my wife, Jill, let's celebrate women every day. Yes. John Shannon, he thought it was one of the weaker tweets I've ever sent out. I send out a lot of weak tweets.
Don't we celebrate them? Don't they celebrate us? Isn't it just a wonderful world that we live in? No.
Jill celebrates me by going on vacation often.
Mac, I think we're strong enough to know that, first of all, women, they are our rocks. Our wives are our rocks.
Oh.
You mentioned our daughters. It's never been a better time for women to, be out there, be in the workforce. My wife started a beverage company now. She's going toe-to-toe with a lot of big, heavy hitters in the beverage world, and she's doing outstanding. And I'll tell you why me and you could be the smartest men out there, because we're smart enough to get the hell out of the way. That's why.
Yes. And as Jill, I asked Jill about something if she could do something. She said, I'm working and you do it. And I said, Jill, I've retired. And I said, if you want to not do these things, you have to retire. So anyway, that was our conversation this morning.
Well,
I know it's a great celebration.
Yes,
so
we wish all the best to all the women out there that
have a great day. Take a day
wonderful
off.
day.
Take a day off.
No. They won't take a day off.
I'm vacuuming this afternoon and washing the windows. That's my job this afternoon. And it's not that it's those are always my duties. I'm just saying I don't even want Jill to help me today. I want her to have the day off.
No. You know who has the day off? You know who has a few days off now? Tom Wilson.
I'm just nervous to say anything because I'm scared I'll get in trouble for whatever I say. I don't mean about Tom Wilson. I mean about Anyway, I'm okay. Okay,
are you okay?
I'm okay. Let's do Tom.
Don't get flustered early here. It's Monday. We've got a big week ahead of us. And thanks everybody for joining once again. Hit the like button for Mac. Leave your comments. I see the comments out of the corner of my eye, and listen, there's so much on this Tom Wilson. Other than Prince Harry and Meghan, everybody's talking Tom Wilson.
Yes.
So, and it's interesting how this thing has played out, Mac, right from the hit. Yep. And few people, Frank Saravelli, who is at TSN, had one of the early tweets out there setting the temperature of the water out there, where on a technicality, or at least, no, not on a technicality, at least according to the language, that this was not being perceived as a Rule 48 in terms of a head hit. So there was the real feeling that was laid out Friday night that this was a non-suspendable hit, that he was going to get free and clear, and there was no penalty on the play.
Okay, because there was no penalty on the play, and because it didn't fit the criteria of Rule 48, right? In other words,
according to the Department of Safety, you are correct.
Okay, so it was not an illegal hit to the head, is what it was ruled as by player safety. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Okay. And I think that word got out, and that was the narrative that was really sent out, starting with Frank's tweet, that this was not going to fall under Rule 48, and therefore there was a feeling that this was a free and clear hit in terms of supplemental discipline.
So how does it go from that to a 6-game suspension? Because they changed a 7-game suspension because they changed the rule. They changed the hit to a different category.
Well, I think like anything else, and for whatever reason, whether you're newspaper, television, whatever line of work you're in these days, there is this social media swelling, and it got larger and larger and larger. And did that force the NHL? Did it force the Department of Safety? Did it to revisit this thing and say that this is something that could get out of hand real quick? If he's not suspendable on Rule 48, is there something else that we can find him on? And that's when I think it pulled into a boarding situation.
So you're comparing this to the Robin Hood stock market, shorting a stock. You're comparing it to the hedge fund disaster, to the Robin Hood disaster. You're comparing that social media has now changed this to a boarding call so that they could suspend Tom Wilson based on player safety criteria. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I've not talked to anybody from the NHL in terms of, where George Peros was thinking.
That's your job.
Department.
Your job is to
there's no question. There's no question that this thing started really blowing up. And I'll tell you where it started blowing up. And that was the telecast of the Boston-Washington with Jack Edwards. Now, listen, I like Jack Edwards. I think in many ways he does what he's supposed to do. He's an employee of the Boston Bruins. There is favoritism, no question that there's favoritism on any regional type of scenario where majority of these guys are paid by the team. They're there to kind of promote the team, excite the fans. I get all of that. But once that hit came through and Jack started up on really going after Tom Wilson hard, going after the officials hard, then Brad Marchand goes on in the first intermission interview and called the hit bullshit. It just seemed to really pick up steam after that. And I don't know where George was on that, whether or not he ultimately thought it was a suspendable play, but he wasn't sure where it was. But there's no question, Mac, when we see that social media swelling, it has to come into play on all accounts, on every form of media now, whether it's political, sports, business, it comes into play, does it not?
Sure it does. And it really makes the bosses nervous. So did it make George Peros nervous? Did it make Gary Bettman or Bill Daly nervous? And thus we have to come up with something here so that we can make this look right. I'm not letting Wilson off the hook here first, by the way. I look, if it wasn't an illegal shot to the head, I get that. It was boarding. It was, I guess, what would you call it? A significant
it was
boarding
a
penalty.
Vicious hit.
Significantly vicious boarding hit. That's what it was.
So if in fact the officials would have called this a 5-minute boarding penalty, thrown Tom Wilson out, and they would have suspended him on a boarding hit, I think it would have alleviated a lot of what we went through on the weekend.
Well, look, because what happens is you look for comparables. You mentioned to me this morning to check the Komarev hit on Eller. A boarding hit.
Yeah.
Eller's injured. Komarev gets a 5-minute major for boarding, which, by the way, later was rescinded. It wasn't as vicious as this hit.
Correct.
But it was close, but not as vicious.
It was really close.
It was really close.
You don't you shouldn't be suspended more or at all if a hit's a little bit more vicious than another one, unless it falls into the illegal category. And this is where I think, Mac, again, I just speak of, if there would have been a consistency on a boarding theme right from the get-go, it would have alleviated a lot of the pressure.
Right.
But I will say this, that there is an argument that it doesn't really even follow the criteria of a boarding major. It wasn't a hit from behind. He didn't leave his feet. He wasn't charging. And there are a lot of people that say that I don't have a lot of problem with the hit, other than it was really vicious.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Carlo's head hits the glass and bounces off. He's not the first player to have his head bounce off the glass off of checks. That happens a lot, but not to the point where a guy is down and out, basically, and two, it's not Tom Wilson.
Yeah, Tom Wilson, this is his 5th suspension. He is not getting any benefit of the doubt whatsoever. He probably doesn't deserve any benefit of the doubt because of his history. And there's a lot of ones he's hit. You can't excuse him. What bothers me on this one is that there was a change by somebody's thinking to get this suspension pushed through. That's what is the only thing. I still think it was vicious. I guess it was dirty. It was dirty. It was vicious. Referees didn't make a call on it. I watched last night Connor Murphy with a great body check on Chernak and Tampa.
And he gets a 5-minute major.
And he gets a 5-minute major out of the game, top 4 defenseman, and it's a missed call for me. If that's not rescinded, I'll be shaking my head how that one happened. So what happens with the referees in all this? Where are their heads in all this with these call suspensions?
Well, and
they're nervous to make the big call. They're not nervous to make it one night. I feel for them, to be quite honest. And I would like to know, what explanation? I listened to the league explanation. Do you agree that was factual, what the league explanation was on this hit?
Well, I think the biggest issue here now is just what is the real message here moving forward here when it comes to even boarding, Mac. And the message in the video and what the league and George was trying to say is that basically this is coming down to my opinion of a significant contact hit for a defenseless player who hits his head violently against the glass. Right. So there's going to be a lot of plays that fall under that category. A lot.
Then you're going to have to pick to see it. But
it happens all the time, Mac.
But it happens all the time. Nobody likes to see Carlo going off the ice injured. Nobody likes seeing Eller go off the ice injured. But unfortunately, it happens all the time.
So under that, then the Komarov on Lars Eller is a perfect example. It didn't look as vicious, but guess what?
It didn't.
But Komarov isn't, as big and as strong and as physical and as forceful as Tom Wilson. He's not.
No.
So that's the difference.
Near the reputation.
Everything else is exactly the same, but the difference is it's Tom Wilson.
And when you have that reputation, it's going to follow you, and it's going to follow you. And you're unfortunately, he's dug himself into this hole, and it's there. He's the one that's dug himself in the hole. I listened to his coach after the game, Laviolette, with his description of the hit. She said, "Are we going to take these hits out of our game?" Then I listened to Cassidy with his description of it. It was like a 180. It was a 180 to listen to the two of them talk about the hit, which I understand. Anyway,
I'm you go on your internet, your phone and you hear some of the narrative, and Tom Wilson should be out of the game. I kind of giggled a little bit to hear Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand, it wasn't too long ago, I was hearing the same type of talk about Brad Marchand. The league doesn't need a guy like Brad Marchand in it.
But he's not sick. He's not 6'4", 228.
Well, Mac, it wasn't that far off the comments that this guy is not good for the league.
Well,
don't need hit. We don't need
bridge hits.
We don't need bridge hits, the antics. We don't need that. This guy is MVP worthy in discussions. That's how good Brad Marchand is. And we need Brad Marchand in the league. Okay. We do, because he's that good. And I got news for everybody else. Tom Wilson, he's that good. We need him in this league. We do. Okay.
There's gonna be a lot of people. You know what? There's gonna be a lot of people slamming you today.
Oh, stop it.
Neanderthal Nick Kypreos.
No.
I don't.
He is a specimen. Okay. How many guys that big, that strong, that forceful, the speed of his game, Mac? Okay. There are 31 teams out there, including now Seattle coming in, that would all love Tom Wilson. Name me one hockey guy that says they wouldn't want Tom Wilson on their team. Find me it.
What did the greatest scorer in the modern era say about the hit? Ovechkin.
Ovi.
What did Ovi say about that?
Ovi's defending a teammate. He's defending a teammate. Okay.
Yeah. I know.
I'm just saying that
we're trying to look at it,
and I'm not
objectively.
I'm not justifying the hit. I thought it was vicious, and listen, the narrative is if you really want hard, vicious hits out of the game, like Laviolette just said, then pick and choose. Just pick and choose the ones you want and the ones you don't want, and suspend him, and don't suspend him because he's not been suspended before, or he doesn't have the ability to, cause the industry to go into this, big commotion, whatever the case is. You just do it. But I'm just talking in general right now that we need more Tom Wilsons and less 5'10" water bugs that go around going 1,000 miles an hour and accomplishing nothing.
And hitting, making the dirty hits as well.
What dirty hits?
Well, no, that
nobody hits. Nobody really hits each other, really.
Well, I'm saying there's lots of guys that are a lot smaller than Tom Wilson that make just as vicious a hits.
I don't see it. You see it?
Well, I see it every once in a while.
Oh, Mac.
But there's no.
I gotta wait forever to get some emotion out of certain games. I really do. I see a lot of guys going 1,000 miles an hour, chip and chase. Nobody's hitting anybody. It's a while here. And again, I'm not justifying Tom Wilson. You want to suspend him, suspend him. That's fine. Okay. But I'm just saying that Wilson he's not as gifted as an Eric Lindros, but you can watch him skate at that size and speed. And that in itself is something to kind of marvel at, because they don't come around very often, these guys.
You would. You're right. Lots of guys say I wouldn't have him on my team. I would run him out of the league. There's not a team in the league that wouldn't love to have this guy. Trust me.
So 2.5 years.
Fans can say what they want. Ask any general manager in the game if they would want Tom Wilson on their team.
And everybody thinks that this is an easy suspension for the NHL. I disagree. I think it pains them to suspend him again. I really do. For the same reasons that I said, that they want that guy out there. They like that element. They don't see it enough around the league. They don't.
If that's the case, why did he get what he got?
Mac, there's some people that wanted him suspended 15, 20 games.
Oh, I know that. But why?
7's okay. 7's to the point where he doesn't even appeal it.
7 is in a 56-game season. That's equivalent to 15 games.
No, it's equivalent to 10. And they said that they don't rule that way. Bill Daly said going into the season that it's not, the number is the number over the course of 82 games.
I'm sorry. I don't buy that. But anyway, that's fine.
But my point is that they still, for 2.5 years, they loved what element he brought. Now, did he push the envelope? Did he rip it open? Did he do what he was supposed to do ultimately? And that is go in hard on a forecheck. It's debatable, I guess. That's all I'm saying, is like, you could see it one way, I could see it the other way.
To wrap this up, are you telling me that you believe the league had to make this up to get this suspension? Is that what you're telling me?
Make it up. I think aborting,
come up with something.
Aborting was an easy one to alleviate the pressure. That's what I'm telling you. Okay. That they were right. It wasn't a guy targeting a head. He was going in there.
Hey, if he did target the head, and if he did target the head, he deserves to have the book thrown at him.
Well,
if he targeted the head, and if it was deemed an illegal hit to the head.
He's one of the few guys out there, Mac, when he goes in, he hits to hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't that long ago. There was 4 or 5 guys on a team that had that attitude. Now you're lucky if you find, half a dozen. It's not in their makeup anymore. But Tom Wilson, for whatever reason, still has that mentality. I'm going in there to hurt you. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what he did with Carlo. But, there's still a way to hurt a guy within the legal boundaries of the game. And he was really close there, right?
And we don't want to sound Neanderthal here by saying guys are out there to try and hurt somebody.
Some are. Some are.
I've been on the bench. You've been on the bench. You've been on the ice. And I've been away from it a long time.
Yeah.
But it's still there to a degree.
Tom Wilson hits to hurt. Okay, there's no debating that, but it's a game of hockey. There's body checking. Okay, you're a linebacker. You're going. It's you hurt or the other person hurt. That's the mentality. Now we probably got about 80 or 90% of the guys that don't have that attitude in the game.
Yeah,
trust me, you could wait for hours sometimes waiting for some real emotion in a game.
Oh my God!
But that's not not Tom Wilson.
I'm watching on the weekend looking for the odd little tidbit of excitement, and I guess you see Taylor Hall trip on the blue line, and I almost come out of my seat with the excitement of poor Taylor Hall tripping over the blue line.
Yeah.
Then you're scrambling looking for genuine excitement sometimes.
And this one had the making too, because again, now you go into the officials, Mac. And you talked about it earlier. I think it was Dean Morton and Lambert was the refs. This is Friday night, no penalty.
Do you think they heard from the league on this? No penalty?
It came off of the Frederick spear on Ovechkin, right? Yep. So there was a lot of emotion coming into this game. There wasn't just a typical game here. This was genuinely two teams that hated each other right from the onslaught. So it was just almost like an accident waiting to happen. So what does Connor Murphy do? Pretty big check. And
I thought it was a great hit.
What do the officials do, though? The officials want to protect themselves, right?
Yeah. They nail him for a 5-minute major, and he's out. He's done.
It is a little embarrassing to the officials that you have no penalty on a boarding, yet the league suspends a guy 7 games for that. Doesn't look great for the officials that you can't call a boarding call, and yet the league could suspend this guy 7 games. So What do the officials
do?
do?
And then you call a 5-minute major for a hit yesterday.
So you overcompensate, do you not?
Yeah, and I mean it puts the referees. I mean, look, they're caught in between here, and it's not good.
You can't blame them.
No, you can't blame them. They're caught here. They're caught in between. So
anyway. Critical time in the hockey game for Chicago. Like they're right there against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they're fighting for their
third
playoff
time.
lives, and they lose the game 6-3, and you lose a top 4 defenseman. I mean, if I'm Chicago, I'm livid over that call. But anyway, that's where we are, and the temperature's up. The temperature's up from from the Wilson play, and referees are caught. That's where it is, whether we like to believe it or not. So,
you know what it's going to cost Tom Wilson?
$315,000.
How about the one that he had for 20 games? You know what that one cost him?
No.
$1.2 million, Mac. You can buy a lot of Porsches with that.
Oh my God.
Hey?
Almighty. Seriously.
If
that's hard to believe.
If that doesn't tell you to kind of curtail a little bit, nothing will.
Oh my God Almighty! Seriously, wouldn't you become, if you lost 1.2 million? Wouldn't you think about becoming a finesse player? Wouldn't you chip and chase and dance around?
I think that's a part of him that loves it. Loves it. Mac, I used to love catching someone pretty clean. It was a good feeling.
I remember Tommy Fitzgerald and Billy Lindsay when they played for me. They couldn't wait to catch a guy coming around the net, and they'd have the big hit. Tommy Fitz, the GM of New Jersey, and Billy Lindsay, two guys that loved the big hit at the side of the net. Do you remember those hits?
When
they happen, we have to have a hearing. I don't know if there's a suspension, but there's probably a hearing. There's not a hearing, but major conversation about it.
Used to come back to the bench with the biggest smile on your face.
Oh my God.
And now you go back to the bench and like half your team's looking at you going, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're going to make everybody think that I have to do that now.
No, and today what they're all on their iPads checking out to see if there's going to be a league meeting about it. And every media person is tweeting out, there should be he's going to be called before the league. And then Bob McKenzie will say there's no hearing and people are devastated. And then you'll say there's a hearing and people are excited. Like it just does. That's one of the most exciting. George Kypreos is one of the most exciting executives in hockey when he has to make this big decision on a hearing or not.
Don't you? It just seemed like everything was kind of quiet. And I think, they just had that Blickfeld suspension for 2 games. But other than that, Mac, not much is going on. And boom, Tom Wilson. And it's not an easy job. That has got to be the most thankless job ever.
Oh,
and we had Brian Burke started it. Then it went to Coley Campbell, and Coley had it for a good 15 years.
We should have had Berkey on. Now that Berkey is not a TV guy anymore.
No. He is a TV guy. He's more of a TV guy now than he was when he was a TV guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. But we should have him on to talk whether he likes it or not.
Oh, I don't think you have to ask. I don't think you have to ask him. We know Brian well enough to know that answer.
Yeah. But he's in Pittsburgh, so that means he hates Tom Wilson.
It is a thankless job, and now it's
yes, it is.
George, Stefan Quintel had it. You're not long for this job, Mac. You're not.
It's a tough one.
It's a 3-year window maybe.
And I'm not saying this happens, and when you have your bosses chirping in your ear about certain players. I'm not saying it happens. I'm just saying when your bosses chirp about.
You think Gary? You think Gary got involved in this when they have to, right? Bill Daly and Gary, they of course they're going to watch how everything's run. But
look, I can't say that they got involved. I can't because I don't know, but I bet they did.
Well, it would be hard as a commissioner, a deputy commissioner, not to have a say in it, but
you have to. In fairness to Gary and Bill,
a
hot button issue, hot button topic, they should be involved.
At the end of the day, George knew that is in his department's best interest to suspend him. They're not suspended, and how he found it, regardless of how he found a way, and that was through the boarding penalty. That's what it really comes down to. It's Tom Wilson, and I'm just better off suspending him than I'm not. That's what it all came down to.
Right. Okay.
And that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I said it when I first saw it, Mac. I said that was vicious. I think it is suspendable. I just didn't see it as a 10, 15 game headshot. If I would have been probably in the 2 or 3 as a boarding major and then just move on. But it's Tom Wilson. I get the hot button dynamic of it. So, okay, we good on that? Did we exhaust it?
Yeah, I think we've exhausted it. I think that we have pissed off. We have been successful in pissing off a lot of anti-Wilson people. We have pissed off a lot of people, which is, I think we have to tell it what we have to give our opinions. That's what you get here versus. Tell it the
Mac,
way. We can't come on here and say we think this is terrific when we don't.
It's just our opinion.
It's like, the other night I went to bed and I said, I got to stop watching games because I'm going to bed every night pissed off. Like, I'm so pissed off at Bruce Cassidy right now, the coach of Boston. I can't even hardly think.
All right.
And I'm a Sean Corrali fan, and he gets a healthy scratch. And I look at DeBrusque with 1 goal, and I look at Krejci with none. And I'm thinking, like, what am I missing here? Anyway, look, that's just I just had to get that out. I'm so pissed off about that. But anyway,
all right, maybe we'll revisit.
We'll leave Boston, it for now. But I'm just pissed off. Bruce Cassidy better be careful. He's going to lose his team. I don't like it.
I think there's a lot of Buffalo Sabre fans that couldn't give a shit about Tom Wilson because they're watching Rome burn right now.
Oh my goodness gracious! What are they going to do?
So Kevin Adams comes out, meets the media. No different than Jim Benning did. No different than Yarmo did in Columbus. And what did we get out of that?
He said
he did say the right things. No excuses. My job's to raise the standard, the expectations.
Their play was unacceptable.
The Daryl Sutter famous word, accountability.
Yeah.
But what does it really mean, Mac, to Ralph Kruger now and the players?
It is as ugly as it gets there. That's what it is right now. It is as ugly as it gets. And, what have they lost? 7 in a row? But it's not that. It's the way they're playing. I mean, they're after them. I mean, the media is after them. The fans are after them. I feel for Kevin having to stand up there and talk. But, that's your job when your team is bad. And I tweeted out, I have experience in doing what he did. I have experience in having to stand up there when your team is really bad and try to talk about it. And it's not fun. But something has to give in Buffalo. Something has to give. I watched Skinner score his first goal since last February.
It's a good goal, too, coming around the net.
That's a beautiful goal since last February. I watch the defenseman. I mean, poor Davidson. I mean, on that.
Did you? Play, that was Clutterbuck's goal.
Clutterbuck's goal. I mean, oh my God.
Mac, am I watching? Am I watching NHL Defense or am I watching Disney's Bambi on Ice? Because
Well,
I'm telling you,
then when you watch poor Taylor Hall go in, make a great play in the neutral zone, looks like he's on a free, clear breakaway, and he trips at the blue line. I mean,
wow.
like, how can it get?
I think it was
any
the end of
worse?
a shift. I think he was on an end of a shift, but
It must have been. Who sharpens his skates in Buffalo?
maybe they should be calling out that guy.
Poor guy.
Oh,
That's
Mac.
what'll be next. That'll be next. They'll be blaming him. But you know what? It's an ugly situation.
Under these circumstances, the pandemic, I'm thinking this could be the one year where maybe the media and the fans just let it go.
Well,
But
like I'm saying,
that's not going to be the case in Buffalo. They can't go through another half a season like this. It won't fly with them.
I said these teams are so lucky there's no fans in the building, Nick. I'm telling you, I said this last week. Some of these teams are so. Imagine in Calgary last night with Ottawa beating them in a shootout at home, and you've just hired a new coach who, but this is new. The new coach can't coach because he's in quarantine.
He's coming though.
He's coming out. When's he out of quarantine?
I think this week.
Oh, that's good. So, but imagine Daryl watching and anyway, hard to believe.
What is Kevin Adams' biggest issue here? Is it his handling of the player personnel? Is it Ralph Kruger? Mac, he didn't hire Ralph Kruger. The Pagulas hired Ralph Kruger. I'm just thinking dynamics.
Just a minute. Jason Botterill, the general manager, hired Kruger, did he not?
I think it was the Pagulas.
I think Jason, if I'm not mistaken, there's a relationship between Jason Botterill's dad, famous sports psychologist, and Kruger. Either he coached Kruger or Kruger coached. There's some relationship there too. So I don't think it's strictly on the Pagulas.
Okay,
sorry.
All right, that's fair. I'm okay with that. But the bottom line is
they're going to make a change.
It's not Kevin Adams, and whether or not, and we've seen this dynamic before, Mac, is when your coach is making $3.5–4 million a year, and your general manager could be making as little as $750,000 or $1 million. It just doesn't bode well in what was always perceived as a pecking order.
You as a general manager, there's two ways you fire coaches. Two ways you fire coaches as a general manager. The number one is if you really truly believe your coach has lost the team, has lost the dressing room, and as a general manager, you have 99% of them know when that happens. They do. They know it from conversations with players, their leadership group, from talking to their coach. They know it. And the only other way you fire a coach is when the owner tells you to fire a coach. So those are the two ways. Yeah, and it's about 50-50.
I'm not sure
50-50 that the GM fires a coach and 50-50 that the owner tells the GM to fire the coach.
I'm not sure.
I'm looking at that Calgary situation. That's got ownership all over it. Sorry, it has ownership all over it, and Tree Living is probably relieved.
Okay. As far as Ralph Kruger goes in Buffalo, I don't get the sense that either of those criteria have hit Ralph Kruger. It doesn't appear to me that he's necessarily lost the players. It may look like it, Mac, and it may seem like they're not getting his message, but there is a sense, maybe outside of maybe Jack Eichel, but a lot of these guys, it seems like they like Ralph. They liked him in Edmonton. I mean, it's never about Ralph pissing anybody off or being a hard ass.
And the only people that would know that would be the people in the room, and the general manager the general manager and the group within that dressing room are the ones that really know that. I don't know that. I have no idea if he's lost the team. All I know is that it is getting really ugly there. And something has to give.
With the exception of the disconnect between Eichel's injury and Ralph Kruger's report on where he got hurt.
So is that an excuse to go after him? I mean, really, how many times have guys done that? It was a mistake. Have we shrugged our shoulders about injuries in the past as coaches, as general managers? Have we fudged it a bit as coaches and general managers? That's not a reason to fire Ralph Kruger. I'm sorry. But if he's lost the team and they believe it, it is. And I don't know that.
Well, depends on your perception of
Kim Pegula has got to evaluate.
You would have to found something to lose something. I don't know if Buffalo ever had it, right? Not based on the last few years, on whether this team was willing to. And they just bet on the wrong people, Mac. Kyle Okposo, just the money they're paying him, no jam.
And he's had some severe illnesses.
Yes, but
some severe illnesses.
But the bottom line is, Mac, he can't. He's not delivering. Okay.
No, I mean, they got the young Darlene first overall pick. Right. You got the Ruotsalainen on the back end.
Yeah,
hasn't developed into what they thought he is. Reinhardt's top pick. I mean, look, it goes on and on and on here.
Taylor Hall speaks highly of his situation outside of the lack of success. He seems to like it. And dare I say this, Mac, but would you ever contemplate, if you're Kevin Stevens or the Buffalo Sabres, to
Kevin Adams, not Kevin Stevens.
I'm sorry, Kevin Adams. I don't know why Kevin Stevens.
Yeah.
Kevin Adams, would you contemplate trying to buy low on Taylor Hall
to get him done on a deal?
Yeah.
I would try to sign him right now, because I would try to get a deal done to try to help. We all know that Taylor Hall is a good player. Yeah, it's tough going, but why not try to show?
He's not that bad, Mac. He's not. He's better, and he's going to score.
He's a lot better than. Yeah, he's a lot better than this, and why not try to get him? And it gives a little energy to the organization. It send a little bit of a message around the league that we're going to really try to fix this. That's what it would send. And I would definitely try. I really would.
How low would you go? Like, where would your first offer be to Taylor Hall on a market that has you in favor of a negotiation?
I would start in, I know it's not going to do it, but I'd start in the 5.5 range. And I'd give him a little bit of term. I'd give him 4 years. And then I might go to 6.2, 6.3 to get it done.
Interesting. I think Taylor Hall's a good player. I think
he is too.
I don't think he's gonna.
I think he's a good kid.
I don't think he's gonna lead to anything. But those type of players, you don't need them to lead. You just need them to score in a top 6 scenario. That's it. Right?
I think. I just think you've got to make sure that you've already got the mess of Skinner on your hands. You can't double it with a crazy, crazy contract. And that's why your point of trying to get it done at reasonable numbers makes sense, but not a crazy deal like a Skinner. Not even, I mean, that one was like, I hate to say I told you so, but I'd love to pull up the tapes of us talking about that on Hockey Central at noon, where we said, do not get sucked in on this on a long-term deal.
Yeah.
Easy for us, not so good for them when you're in the mix, when you're in the fire. You got those big decisions to make. All
right, you want to go back up to Calgary with if you got all the meat off the bone on Calgary, or you want to revisit that?
Well, I just I'm looking at the way they're playing. Giving up goals at the net. I mean, I look at Markstrom last night. I thought he battled. Giving up goals around the net, deflections, not covered, piss poor coverage around the paint, around the net. You look at their 5-6 blue line their 5-6 guys in defense are not good enough. That's got to be fixed. Giordano needs help. I mean,
Anderson, he's not ready. He's just not ready.
He's not ready to give the kind of support
That's right.
that a 37-year-old Giordano needs. And Anderson shouldn't be put in that situation. You got Tanev and Hanifin. Tanev has helped Hanifin, in my opinion, and I haven't watched him as much as a lot of people. But
I don't know where. I'm watching.
Hanifin there's always something bothering me about Hanifin, but he's at least. Is he a number 3 guy? Is he a number 2 guy? I don't think he is.
3-4.
Yeah. 3-4 at best. But yeah, I get him. I got him as a 3-4. You're right.
I'm watching him get caught up on the ice, and Ottawa coming back on a 2-0. I think Dzingel scored the goal. I'm watching.
Tierney, was it Tierney and Dzingel?
Yeah, Tierney and Dzingel. But these, 4-on-4, and you're giving up a 2-0. Come on, guys. With one pass, you got everybody caught up. Those are just horrible mistakes against a team that still should be perceived as one of the worst in the league.
So the question is going to be, can Sutter, as experienced a coach as there is with Stanley Cups and have been around 18 years, I believe, as a head coach, can he fix this? Can coaching fix this? Or does it run? Or is it going to run deeper than that? I say that Sutter will help. I like the move with this group because I'd like to see him really be tough on them and see how they respond.
They got to start learning how to win 2-1 games or 3-2 games. That's all, because they're going to do it. You said it last week. You're going to have to do it off of Markstrom's back. That's all.
Yeah. And the question is, at the end of the year, is it finally come to their fruition that there's a problem with the structure of this team? We saw it in Toronto, and people are comparing it a little bit. The structure of the Toronto Maple Leafs 4 or 5 years ago, pre-Shanahan, even post-Shanahan when they started it. And now, is this going to happen in Calgary? That you get to a point you say, geez, I really don't like our chemistry. We got a structure. We have to make some big structural moves. And it's not easy to do, man. Let me tell you, as a guy that's been in the heat, it's not easy to do that. It's easy to say trade Goudreau, trade Monahan. It's a lot harder to do it and to get value.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Well, the best way you do that is, like many of these deals that we're going to talk about in the near future, off season, where you invite all 32 teams in.
Well, you can't do it now. There's not a snowball's chance with what we've got with the quarantine, with cross-border and the quarantine and COVID. I mean, you just simply cannot make this. But this will be an I'd love to be in a conversation, and I'd love to be, in the room when you've got Tree Living and Sutter discussing the structure of this hockey team at the end of the year.
All right, let's move on. 2 consecutive losses for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do we need to cancel the order of the Stanley Cup rings?
No, I think it's a good opportunity. Again, it doesn't hurt the Leafs to go through these little, it brings them back to reality. I watched that game. I watched them at the end of one period there where Vancouver never touched the puck for a minute 40. Remember that shift?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a minute 40. They never touched it, but it tends to grow. The cuteness tends to grow when you have easy games in a row. This is a chance to bring them back, snap them back to reality. Look, I have no doubt the playoffs are going to be tough on the Leafs. They play Montreal in the first round. They play any of these teams.
Well,
the playoffs are different, Nick. The underdog goes into the playoffs. It's a different mindset. Your preparation as the underdog is easier. It's a shutdown mentality. I'm telling you, it's easier. It's easier, but it's still tough to win as the underdog. But I'm telling you, your preparation is, and it's tough being the overwhelming favorite.
26 games for the Leafs.
Lesson. It's a good lesson.
18 wins, 6 losses, 2 overtime in that column. And Mac, out of those 26 games, I'd be hard pressed to find goaltenders that the Leafs played against that ended up first star in the game. And this is the one weekend where I think that the Leafs were reminded that a good goaltender can beat you, even their offense.
Yeah.
And Demko did it. He did it. And we saw what hot goaltending did to the Leafs in the bubble with Korpisalo and Merzlikins. And
we've seen it with Rask. We've seen it with Rask.
We just in that division, in that North Division, you know, whether it's inconsistency of Carey Price to start or Matt Murray, Markstrom out, even Hellebuck has had some issues here and there on some soft goals. This is a reminder, I think, to the Leafs that, you know, goaltending is everything.
And you see the best of goaltending at playoff time. And it can look, I mean, the Dallas Stars go to the Stanley Cup finals with Hudobin last year. Come on. I mean, it had goalies get on runs. So, yeah, I mean, but you can't but compliment the Leafs on their season thus far. Now, are they going to make a few adjustments at the April 12th deadline? You know, that's going to be, it'll be fun to watch if they make some minor tweaks. They think they have this third line now that's like maybe the best third line in the history of the National Hockey League. So we'll watch and see how that line evolves. I've said all along, I didn't like Kerfoot as a third centerman going into I love him in the regular season. Kerfoot is a 3 centerman. I don't want him as my 3 centerman at playoff time. Now they moved him up on the wing. He's a useful player. He's a good player. I just don't want him as my third center against the big boys at playoff time. That's all. That's not a criticism of him. I like how they moved him around. And I like their third line. Simmons comes back in, gives them a little more juice eventually here. And they're in good shape.
And your Columbus sources are saying Nick Foligno to the Leafs?
No, you know, it's automatic. He's an unrestricted free agent. So it's automatic.
Hearing his name.
We're going to start hearing his name. I mean, he's exact type that a lot of teams would love to have at playoff time. But, I mean, it's hard to trade your franchise player. No, I guess Line A's a franchise player now. It's hard to trade. And Jones, I guess, is. But Nick is a guy that is so well thought of in Columbus as just a great community guy, loves the area. I mean, there's some chirping that would they trade him at the deadline and then he would re-sign as an unrestricted free agent back in Columbus? I could see that happening. He loves Columbus.
Yes.
For all you Columbus chirpers out there.
Entrenched in the community. No question.
He's a quality kid.
He's a quality kid, but
he sure is.
You just got to wonder, Mac, if Chicago does not relinquish that spot moving forward and Columbus misses out, you know, where do they go with a lot of these guys? David Savard, who's quietly been a great number 3 behind Seth Jones and Werenski, is unrestricted. He's not re-signing in Columbus.
He would be a great pickup.
He has to be in a scenario. I see David Savard ending up in Winnipeg or Edmonton. But again,
I would say that's and why not Vancouver be in the mix on him?
Yeah. They just have to. They're going to have to do it earlier just to get over that quarantine scenario. But
that's right.
That I would target that guy in a heartbeat.
Yeah. An old former Don Boyd draft pick. Great pick, a great draft pick for the Columbus Blue Jackets by then Director of Amateur Scouting, Don Boyd.
I know the Islanders just beat up the Buffalo Sabres, but quietly 15-6-4, Mac. This is Barry Trotz, man, just finds a way. It's just broken record, but Islanders, Barzal with a between the legs goal.
Seriously. Who does that? Who does that?
really
Actually,
good players do that.
Spencer Smallman, PEI kid, do that the other day, but it was in the minors. Do the same play, but
It's all right.
this was pretty special by Smallman and Barzell this week.
It goes to show you, though, where that mentality is on the skill level and what they're willing to do and try now. And
unreal! I loved it.
Incredible.
I loved it.
All right.
So Trotsy's done a heck of a job, and the Islanders. I didn't have them there. Like Pittsburgh's going to fight and claw to get to the playoffs. I mean, where's my team, Boston? I mean, they've slid down they've slid down a little bit. What are they in third place today, Boston?
You still got some meat on the bone on that one too right now.
Well, I'm just pissed off, but I mean, I'm not happy, but and I'm a big Boston fan, but they're in third place, and they've got some games in hand. They're a good team, but when you rely on the number one line, Krejci without a goal, DeBrusk with one, DeBrusk's name's out there. Has DeBrusk asked to be traded? Is DeBrusk being shocked?
Well, he wants his money.
Krejci with no goals, and he's your number two centerman. So you can rely on the big line all you want. And I've watched it at playoff time. The big line gets wore out. So what Craig Smith was an acquisition. They better be careful there.
There's a thought that they're keeping their powder dry here going into a trade deadline, but I mean, there's a lot of Boston.
Oh yeah,
but there's a lot of people that think maybe they don't have the green light to go add. Maybe ownership, the Jacobs family is content on writing out whatever they have in an empty building pandemic.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that the Jacobs family is Jeremy's the boss. I mean, the grandfather, the father, Jeremy's the boss. The problem is Jeremy has always been a budget guy, and he's always been a hard ass guy, but he still expects results. He expects results.
Yes.
Whether there's a budget or not, he expects results. It's the Boston Bruins. So,
all right.
I've liked the job Cassidy's done, but I'm pissed off at him right now.
One last thing.
I'm sure he's a listener of the show. I just want him to be aware of that.
One last thing on the San Jose Sharks, Mac.
Who do we have to really? Who?
Yeah,
have they done anything lately? Have I missed something?
They're not.
But I haven't missed anything by not watching them.
Like, a guy like Brent Burns go -4 on the weekend, and I'm just wondering at some point, where do you, if you're Doug Wilson, where do you go with this group
or the owner?
It's just been ever since. I guess, trading for Carlson, it's been a disaster.
No, it was before that.
It was okay.
Ever since trading for Evander Kane and Carlson. Would you agree?
Yeah, it just and I liked Evander Kane. I really did. I liked him in Buffalo. Sure. I liked him in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
and he's a talented guy. He's tough. We talk about guys that they're far and few in the league that can go out there and do so many different things, including play a real physical game. And God, I say it, drop your gloves every once in a while. It just
I do too. I like him too. But when you reward a guy like that with a 5-year contract, and you've got the Pavelskis and a few of these guys sitting there without it, who have done whatever it took to make that team a contender, it comes back to the chemistry of your dressing room. And I don't think, and then you've got Carlson who comes in and gets the big deal, and it on and on. I think there's been some tough decisions made there. I don't think they're very good.
Probably an off-season move, but wouldn't you try to move Brent Burns or get Carlson's contract off the books? Wouldn't you pick
how do you get
one
that
of
off the
two
books?
of them? I don't know.
How do you get Carlson's deal off the books?
You have to eat.
I mean, that's comparable to Biden getting his COVID relief bill through Congress and the Senate, from my opinion.
You
and
have
that's
to
tough.
go American politics on me to end the show, eh? I had to. Oh gosh, you're gonna take away some of your likes. Is that enough, folks, to get rid of Mac's likes, or hit the thumbs up even more?
I think
Jordan, how we doing, buddy?
We're doing great. It's been a great show.
How did you enjoy the NBA All-Star Weekend? Because a lot of people contemplating whether or not they should have even done it or not. Like, what are your thoughts? Success?
So they shouldn't have done it, to me at least. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Doug, on the side of the ownership, might have a different opinion. But I watched, of course. Of course I'm going to watch. What else am I doing? I thought it was great.
I'm as bored as anybody, and I didn't watch it.
Well, you know what was actually pretty cool? They did all of the events in one day. So they had the 3-point shootout before the game, and then they had the dunk contest in halftime. So it happened really fast. You know what I mean? Like, you're hanging out, you're having a couple of bites to eat, and then before you know it, it's over. Damian Lillard and Steph Curry put on a show, shooting half-court shots and swishing. It was
like it's nothing.
Yeah, like honestly, if I'm a pretty big guy, but if I'm about to shoot a half-court shot, I got to put my body into it. These guys are just there.
Imagine if Seth Curry was going to shoot one of those half-court shots and he had Wilson steaming after him.
That'd be a good one, I think. I'd like to watch that.
Here, I have to. First of all, I got to take back my San Jose comments, because I have a challenging time at 10 o'clock starting a San Jose game. I do.
You have a lot of problems just at 10 o'clock without any games.
Anyway.
Well,
okay.
I hope.
Hey, thanks, Jordan, for the basketball update.
Jordan, I hope this doesn't. I hope this doesn't encourage NHL players to start thinking that they can score from the far blue line now.
We just had
we saw one last week from the far blue line.
We had a funny comment in chat here. Which league has more contact, the NHL or the NBA? You know, that's nice. Bad. Thanks, buddy.
Well, Nick, I can't wait to go to the pool this afternoon and listen to all the comments about you getting ripped. I hope that they, in fairness, I would like them to leave me alone, but I sort of enjoy listening to.
You're not with me that the league needs more Tom Wilsons?
I'm with you.
Please.
I'm right there with you.
Wouldn't it be fun to watch if everybody had a Tom Wilson on their team? Wouldn't it make watching a little bit more interesting? And then they could actually cancel each other out. Yes. You know, the one thing, this is where teams kind of get their ammo to go out there and find him, though. Federic, is it Federic? Did I pronounce it properly? Trent on Boston.
Yeah.
So,
he was a first round pick or an early second round pick.
He had, and he's gaining this reputation for being a gamer, which I love, Mac. Yeah. Okay. But I think if he would have identified Wilson running around like that and maybe would have challenged him earlier, there's a real chance that Carlo doesn't end up hurt.
Yeah. Well,
okay. But teams don't have that guy. They don't have that attitude.
No,
nobody's reading the situation.
No, you're right.
But that could have been avoided if, in fact, somebody would have just gone over and talked to Wilson or challenged him earlier and said, enough's enough. And that's how we policed it in the past. But we don't have those guys in the game anymore. And Wilson has the credit card to go and run around like he's King Kong on the top of Empire State Building. And that's an issue.
Yeah. And it's a coaching thing as well, reading that.
So as long as the basic rules are still there, it allows for Tom Wilson or the next one to go around and do what he wants to do.
I didn't have to worry about that because I had Paul Laws as our one of our 3-4 defensemen. And a lot of times he was 5'6", but he was a lot of times 3-4. he was reading that on the bench. He was reading that.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's again, if the game's going in a different direction, I think teams would like a guy that could skate like Tom Wilson and play like Tom Wilson and scare people like Tom Wilson. They just can't find them.
Yeah,
there's just not enough out there.
How many scouts and GMs say, "Hey, where can we find a Tom Wilson, a guy that can play and can play that way at times?"
If you're out there,
win Stanley Cups with Ovi and company.
If you're out there and watching, and you happen to be 6'4", 6'5", and skate really well, worst ways to make $5 million a year. I can tell you that.
Not bad. Even if you lose a couple hundred a year for suspensions. You know,
where are you going with your purple T-shirt after the show? Back to the beach?
It's mauve.
Mauve.
It's mauve.
Jordan, is that mauve?
Looks like mauve to me.
He calls it mauve. I guess that's a American.
They're talking about it in chat today. They said maybe that you spilled this afternoon, Doug. I don't see any marks though, so I think they're just giving you a hard time.
Let's just chest it.
Oh, be careful there. This is a family show, Doug. This is a family show.
I have my shorts on, my running shorts on here, so it's not like I do the just the up top change, you know.
Yep, that's how we do it here at Real Kyper.
Okay, thanks guys for having me.
Enjoy International Women's Day the rest of the way here, okay?
Yes, and great support to all the wonderful women out there.
There you go. Doug Maclean, everybody, from lovely Florida. Hope everybody had a good show today. It's a good start to the topic. Tom Wilson, love him or hate him, I think he's going to be around for the next little while, but just not in the next 7 games. All right, Jordan, thank you very much. And for all of you watching for the first time, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button for Mac, keep the comments coming in, and we'll see you on Wednesday.